George Pataki.
Stones are too old.
Three-
Guns N' Roses.
Oh, there you go.
They're great.
There you go.
A little crazy, but great.
No, that's good. I like that.
Three-time governor of New York State, but the book, the new book from Governor Pataki, everybody's talking about, called Beyond the Great Divide, How a Nation Became a Neighborhood. Albert, Frank, this is huge. We'll get to politics. We got a lot to talk about. Axl Rose, you, at a concert? Huh?
Oh, I haven't heard them in concert. I'd like to, and they're touring again.
July.
They're
Meadowlands.
touring
MetLife.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins open. Come on, you can be in you. We'll go.
It's in New Jersey.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
You see? He starts already.
What can you do?
We're doing. We were at.
When they cross the river. Sign me up.
Okay, you
Sign
got
me
it.
up.
We were at. All I remember when I first met this great man. He's a fine gentleman. George Pataki is, and I'm coming in, and we're doing a meeting somewhere at some big apartment somewhere in New York on the Upper East Side, and everyone was there, and Mayor Giuliani was there, and it was a great gathering, and the governor gets up and goes, "Oh, it's great to see Joe Piscopo here, except that he lives in New Jersey." I said, "What was that? What was that?"
I was the governor of New York. I never ran in New Jersey. So.
I know, but Rudy, what's up with Rudy too? Rudy busts my chops too. He goes, "Wait, where'd your people come over?" I go, "Italy." He goes, "And they went to Newark?" I said, "Yes, they did, Mr. Mayor. Please." Tell us about the book first, Governor. This is great. Congratulations.
I wanted to do two things. One is I wanted to tell the story of September 11th and then the rebuilding of Ground Zero. Yeah, people go down there and look at it, and I'm just so proud of what we were able to do. And it was a battle. It was a brutal battle to get to the point where we finally got things in the ground and moving forward. And so I just want to tell that story, and I think it'll be interesting to a lot of people. There are a lot of twists and turns that people don't know about. And then the other part is, you all remember, after September 11th, the country has never been more united in my lifetime. We weren't Republicans, Democrats, black, white, North, South. We were all Americans.
Yeah.
And we'd been attacked. And you look at it today, and it's like before the Civil War. If you're a Republican, you can't talk to a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you hate somebody who might want to go vote for Trump. And how do we get there? And more importantly, how do we close that divide? And I think we have to restore people's confidence that this is their government that can solve problems and make the country a better place.
What a great point you make, because I see sometimes in Albany, sometimes they make moves, I think, this is my opinion, that just to appease the quote-unquote base.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like the lunatics running the asylum.
Yeah.
You have to, not the base, you have to appeal to the lunatic fringe. And you see that in the Democratic primaries. They have just, virtually every one of them is for open borders. Even Bernie Sanders wasn't for open borders 4 years ago, and the American people are not for open borders. So it's just unfortunate how the radical fringes have gained control, particularly within the Democratic primary.
Talking about rebuilding this area here, and you remember this area, my goodness, during 9/11. And you know what's sad is a lot of the folks supporting Bernie, they don't understand what you went through, what Mayor Giuliani went through, and Commissioner Couric was just here, but what we all went through during 9/11, like that. Just you couldn't walk these streets, the ash, the fire trucks destroyed. How do you fix that? And now, does it bother you, if I could start here, Governor, that Mike Bloomberg says, I built that and I was there, but
I've been in politics long enough that I forgive politicians overstating their role a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, Rudy and I worked very well together after September 11th, and then Mike and I worked very well together. And I'll just tell you one of the stories in the book. We created the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation,
right.
Rudy and I. And what I was thinking is that, we're going to get billions of dollars from the federal government. We have Hillary and Schumer as our senators, 2 Democrats. The likelihood is Mark Green, a very liberal Democrat, is going to be the next mayor. They're going to want the money to go to the city and not to a Republican governor. So Rudy and I sat down and said, we'll create the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation, but the governor will have 2/3 of the votes, so that if Mark Green had won, I would still be able to control the funding. And there were a lot of stories like that where we worked together looking forward, and the result is what you see at Ground Zero now, which is something I'm very proud of.
It's and I have to thank you for that. And every time I see Commissioner Couric, and I think of that day, and I tell him, drive this home, and on the radio, we have the opportunity on the airwaves here to drive it home every day.
Yeah.
I tell my kids to make sure they learn about it, because they're not taught about, look, we were attacked, and we showed America shine so brilliantly at that moment. and in schools they're saying, well, this is what happened, why it happened. No, wait, let's just talk about the greatness, and that's what this book is about.
Yeah, absolutely. The courage Americans showed and New Yorkers showed in the response. And I think you make a really important point here, is that our schools aren't teaching people the right history of America. This is a great country. There's never been a country like it in the world. You know, my grandparents, your ancestors came here for opportunity, and now we're being told what a horrible country this is and how it has to be fundamentally changed, not just by politicians like Sanders, but by our educators who should know better. So we have to do our best to tell that history in the right way. And that's one of the things I wanted to do at Ground Zero. People can come and see the magnitude of the horror of that attack, but then also see the courage that we showed. And you go down in the museum and you see the stories of the firefighters and the individuals and how they responded, and you can't help but be moved by the courage of New Yorkers and Americans.
Beyond the Great Divide is the name of the book by Governor George Pataki. Beyond the Great Divide, How a Nation Became a Neighborhood. I love this. If we could go to politics for a second, here it is Super Tuesday. What are you thinking? Yeah, Mike Bloomberg, does he show up? I can't get a reading on that. Is Bernie going to smoke everybody?
I think Biden's going to do very well on Super Thursday. You know, as he said yesterday, unfortunately, the primary is on Tuesday. It's not on Thursday. So, oh, Lord. You know, we'll know soon enough. But you know, clearly the entire Democratic establishment is united to block Sanders. And question is, are they going to be able to? And if they do, you know, it's not like they're riding Secretariat as the alternative to Bernie Sanders. I mean, Joe Biden is a very nice man, but the ability to stand up to Donald Trump and the scrutiny over the course of election, I have my doubts. Mike Bloomberg was a very good mayor. Unfortunately, the campaign has not gone anywhere, but hopefully after tonight, we'll still have a race, we'll still have a choice, and we won't be stuck with the far left person who wants to change America.
Yeah, I wonder, but Bernie will probably take California.
Yeah, the polls all show California, Texas. You know, it's just unfortunate, but. You know, the Democratic Party has been so captured by its left that even reasonable people who were liberal, I'm not a liberal, but I could respect and could work with them, have just gone so far left that you wonder what they would do.
You know, I'm a former Democrat, former lifelong Democrat. Now I'm like an independent, but I remember Mario Cuomo would go along with Bill Bradley and would listen to these guys. You could have a common sense discussion with Tip O'Neill, for example. Now it's gotten completely out of hand. And how does Bernie Sanders, a Jewish fella from Brooklyn, bring Ilhan Omar on stage, who's a self-avowed racist?
You just find it hard to understand, and I think they have no sense of what America is, which is why they want to change it dramatically. And, you know, Ilhan Omar is a classic example of how this country opens its doors to people, welcomes them, gives them an opportunity, and instead of being grateful, kicks us in the teeth. And, you know, it's a free country. She can do that. But we can also say she shouldn't be on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and she shouldn't be embraced by a presidential candidate.
They don't censure her. They don't censure her at all.
I know. And they're afraid to. Yeah. I think deep down they understand that there's something horribly wrong here, but they're afraid of alienating their left-wing fringe.
That's so scary. Now, when you were Governor Pataki, by the way, the book is Beyond the Great Divide. You want to Google that, Beyond the Great Divide with Governor George Pataki, a great book, a must-read. When you were governor, there was a Republican mayor, right? And Frankie put this together for me. A Republican attorney general, a Republican United States senator, a Republican mayor of New York City, Republican state senate. What happened? There's no Republicans anymore.
You know, it's really, really unfortunate. And it's hard. You know, the demographics have changed. And one of the things I tried very hard to do, you have to look forward. You can't look backward when you're trying to run something as diverse and exciting as New York. And I could see that the Latino vote was going to be absolutely critical going forward. I get elected governor. I moved the Republican headquarters from a hotel in Midtown to Dyckman's Avenue up in Washington Heights, 100% Dominican neighborhood. We had pickets from the Democrats saying, you don't care about us. And I'm saying, yes, we do. And our policies are the right policies for you. And it worked extremely well because people saw that we cared, that we were reaching out, and that our policies were working for them. I stepped down as governor. The next month, they're back in a hotel in Midtown. And I think you just have to, our policies are right for everyone, but too often the politicians go to their base, and instead of reaching out and embracing constituencies that aren't your natural allies and telling them why you are right and your policies are right, you just go where you're comfortable.
Governor Pataki, who's going to come in? Who could take De Blasio's place or Governor Cuomo's place? I know John Catsimatidis always thought.
I mean, when you said who could take De Blasio's, my first thought is John Catsimatidis. Whether or not he wants to do it, I don't know.
Exactly.
But I think the voters in New York are very sophisticated and they're very knowledgeable. And if you make the case, not on a partisan basis. You can't say vote Republican in New York or you get crushed. But if you say these are what I'm going to do and the policies I believe in, then I think the opportunity is always there.
Yeah. Governor Pataki, I've been a very long-time friend of Rudolph Giuliani. Forgive me. This is the tough part about doing this show is that you have to ask the question when something surfaces.
I welcome tough questions.
But I know that you love Rudy, and I know Rudy has immense respect for you as well. And then I see this manufactured, what Rudy said, what he didn't say, and I try to be the Henry Kissinger of the radio, bring everybody together,
and God bless you for that.
Trying.
Yes. It's just so typical of the news today that you write a book that has a million different things in it, and the one they try to focus on is the one that can create controversy. Rudy was a very good mayor. Rudy did a great job on September 11th and after, and we worked as closely as two people could work. He called me that afternoon after his headquarters had been destroyed. He had set up a temporary headquarters. And I thought for about 2 seconds, and I said, I'm coming down and I'm bringing my whole team. And you think about Katrina, where the feds blame the locals blame the state. They didn't work together. We were all in one room for weeks.
Wow.
All my commissioners, all Rudy's commissioners, and it went extremely well. And we didn't miss a beat. But he did at some point, and I understand why. He was doing a great job. People were terrified of what could happen next. Were there going to be more attacks? And Rudy and I both dreaded the thought that Mark Green could be the next mayor. So we looked, first of all, to see if Rudy could run again.
Which everybody thought that would be the natural thing to do.
And that would have been fine with me to run again. But to do it, you needed to get the legislature to change the law. And Sheldon Silver was not going to change the law. So then Rudy came to me and said, you have enormous executive powers. You can cancel the election. Would you do that? And I said, no, I just can't do that. And the lawyers looked at it, and a couple of days later, Rudy came back and said, you're right. Don't cancel the election. We'll go forward and see
But the
what
people
happens.
wanted a third term, and then we see Bloomberg got one. I mean, and we couldn't understand that, but Rudy was just because we needed him at that time.
At that point, there was enormous consensus that he was providing great leadership, and if he can continue, he should.
Exactly.
And if they had been able to change the law in Albany where he could have run, I think that would have been fine. But to actually cancel the election was just too much.
Governor Pataki, the name of the book is Beyond the Great Divide, How a Nation Became a Neighborhood. This is a must-read about 9/11. Governor, you're a good guy. We see each other at dinner, and we're just very, very privileged to have you here. And thank you for your service to this great, great state.
Well, thank you, and thank you for what you do here. This is a great show, and it's important, as we were saying earlier, so that young people particularly can find out what really is happening.
It's true. Thank you, Governor. God bless.
Thank you, Joe.
Godspeed. Beyond the Great Divide. Check it out on Amazon, please, by Governor George Pataki.